What's going on, everybody? It's Cody Steck. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about the differences between Exp Realty and Real Broker. If you're watching this video, you probably want to find out more about what Exp has to offer and what Real has to offer as well. Exp, you probably already know a little bit about. They've been growing like crazy. They're growing like a weed right now, but there's a new kid on the block with Real Broker, and you might want to consider what they have to offer as well. With that being said, let's jump right into the differences. Now, as we jump into this, I do want to give you the disclosure that I was actually with Exp Realty a couple of years ago, but there were some things going on at the time, and I just needed a shift, and so I decided to leave that brokerage and go to a flat transaction fee broker for a couple of years. After that, I did make the move to Real Broker, where I'm at now, and I absolutely love it. So I have seen both sides of this. I was in the Exp ecosystem for it was probably about 14-15 months, and then now I've been in the Real Broker system for about a month, but I'm already kind of familiar with it because it's very similar to what Exp has to offer. So I just got to throw that out there. I've been with both, and I want to share my insight into both and how they differ. That being said, let's jump into Exp Realty first. Exp, they are on an 80-20 split, meaning that every time you close a deal, you're going to pay 20% into Exp Realty, and you're going to take 80% home for yourself. Now, the thing you have to remember is that we're going to talk about revenue share here, so that 20% that you're paying in is actually getting split out between the people that are above you in your upline. When it comes to the cap for your split, you're going to be paying in a total of $16,000 to Exp Realty with their cap system. Once you cap out, you're going to have a $250 transaction fee up to a new cap of $5,000 for those transaction fees. So if you were to cap out on both your split and the transaction fees, you're going to pay in a total of $21,000 plus some additional fees that we're going to talk about here in just a moment. With Exp Realty, you do have an $85 a month cloud broker fee, and this is a fee that they basically charge you to kind of give you the cloud service, give you their Exp world that they have to offer. So this is something that a lot of people really find interesting, is they've got this online office. For me, I don't know, it was one of those things that was a little bit cheesy, I think. I really only stepped foot in there when I needed help from one of their support agents, and I think most agents are probably only going to use it for that reason. They try to host trainings in there, and that's where they have the classes, and I think that's actually really cool, but it just wasn't something that I took part of, and so I didn't really see a lot of value in that. I'd rather just send off an email or make a phone call to get a question answered, but instead with Exp, they have you go into this world where you can actually talk to people and meet them virtually there in the world. So that's one thing that they have there. That's what the cloud broker fee actually is there to support. And in addition to that, you're also going to pay a $25 broker review fee on every single transaction that you close. This is basically just there to cover their administrative expenses that they have for processing your file. On top of that, you also have a $40 risk management fee that you pay on each transaction, which caps out at a total of $500 paid in. So this is roughly 12 and a half deals before you pay in your full $500 for the risk management. This is basically to cover the E&O insurance that they have to buy for you for having your license there at the brokerage. This is to cover you if you do anything illegal or immoral. You've got some insurance to back you up. Now let's talk about the two things that really set Exp and Real apart, and that is number one, stock options, and number two, revenue share. First, I want to talk about the stock. The stock that you can get with Exp is actually really phenomenal. With Exp, you have a number of different ways to actually get stock. You can get stock using some of your commission when you close a deal. You get stock for joining the company and closing your first deal. You get stock for recruiting other agents and them closing their first deal. You get stock for capping, and you can also get what's called icon status, where you close enough transactions to be considered an icon within the company. I want to talk a little bit about this, and there may be some things here that maybe the numbers have changed just slightly. I tried to do as much research as I could, but I think these numbers are going to kind of change over time. So forgive me if some of these numbers are slightly off, but they should be very, very close. Like I said, you can get stock for closing deals and using some of your commission to actually purchase stock. You can actually withhold 5% of your commission and use it to purchase Exp stock at a 10% discount. With Exp, you're also going to get $200 worth of Exp stock when you close your first deal of the year. At the pre-stock split levels, this is going to be roughly 1.5 shares, give or take, and after the stock split, this is going to be roughly 2.5 shares, give or take. So this is what you're going to get for closing your first home each year. You're also going to get $400 worth of stock for fully capping each year, and you're also going to get $400 worth of stock for recruiting an agent to the company. The other thing with EXP is they also have the icon program, where if you fully cap out and then you pay in an additional $5,000 worth of transaction fees, which would be 20 total transactions, you're going to get $16,000 worth of EXPI stock, and that's going to have a 3-year vesting period. You can see that there's a lot of different ways to grow your wealth using these stock options. And next, I want to talk about revenue share. Now, the thing with EXP is they have a very complicated revenue share program. I'm going to throw this diagram up here on the screen for you to take a look at. It's going to be very confusing. In fact, for me, it was still very confusing after being in the company for months. I mean, the way that they've got this set up is extremely confusing. Basically, they say you have to recruit people to the company, and as you recruit more directly underneath you, you're going to unlock additional tiers to be able to earn a little bit more on those agents that are underneath you and underneath the other people that are underneath them, right? It's kind of the classic MLM strategy, where the more people you recruit and they recruit and they recruit and they recruit, you're going to earn a little bit more. So I don't want to go through all the numbers here because I don't want to confuse you, but basically the thing that you need to know is that the full $16,000 that you would pay into your cap each year is going to be split out to the people above you in an equal amount of $16,000. This basically means that if you have a fully stacked upline, meaning that everybody has every single tier open that's above you, they're going to be able to, EXP, the company, they're going to be able to just make money on the transaction fees, and they're not going to make anything on your split for you as the agent. So that's the important thing to know there about EXP. Now, as we move into talking about Real Broker, I do want to mention that both of these companies have a $149 startup fee when you join the company. So that's something that I just wanted to mention at this point, because you're going to pay it regardless of which company you go with. Now, let's talk about the fun company, Real Broker, where I'm at now. When I made the transition from equity real estate, which is where I was at before, and decided to come over to Real Broker, I had that option where I could have gone back to EXP, but I didn't. And I didn't do it for a reason. There's a number of different reasons why I didn't. And one, it's because the stock options, I believe, are better. Number two, the revenue share is better. And number three, I'm getting in on the ground floor of being able to grow the Real Broker company. And this is really where the power's at. The stock is still extremely cheap. The revenue share tiers are not built out yet, and they've got a lot of really cool stuff coming in the pipeline that's going to help them continue to grow and grow very quickly. And that's the thing I wanted to be a part of. Anyway, let's jump into talking about Real Broker and the things you need to know with this. So Real Broker is on an 85-15 split. This basically means that you're going to pay 15% into Real Broker each time you close a deal, and you're going to take home the other 85%. The difference here is that you're on a 5% higher split with Real Broker, so you're going to take home more each deal, which is just kind of nice when you're closing those deals, especially when it comes time to go through your cap again. You're going to take a little bit more home, so you're not giving up as much as your commission. The thing that really matters in the end, though, especially if you're a producing agent and you're closing lots of deals, the thing that really matters is how much you actually pay in before you hit your cap. This is the cool thing about Real Broker as well, is that the cap is only $12,000 instead of $16,000. So again, you're going to see here in just a second, this structure is why Real Broker, in my opinion, is more focused on the producing agents and rewarding them rather than just encouraging people to recruit other agents over to the company. Real Broker also charges a $500 annual brokerage fee, and they charge a $225 transaction fee after capping. So this transaction fee is going to be just $25 less than what you'd pay over at EXP. Not something to really worry about because it's a small amount of money in the grand scheme of things. Talking about Real Broker's stock options, they have some really cool stock options, and I think this is where the true money maker is at for this company. Real Broker has extremely cheap stock right now. Their stock price is sitting at roughly $2.50, and yes, it's a much smaller company than EXP, but I think it has a huge potential to grow into something that is going to be just as big as EXP is within the next couple of years. So the stock is extremely cheap right now, and with the current system, you get a lot of the same benefits. Basically, everything Real Broker has is designed in the same way that EXP has it. You get stock for joining the company and closing your first deal. You get stock for capping. You get stock for recruiting an agent and them closing their first deal. You can use some of your commission to purchase a stock, and you can also get stock for hitting what they call elite status, which is basically their equivalent of the icon program. So for instance, right now, you can get up to 1,000 shares for capping out because the company has less than 2,000 agents. This is going to be absolutely amazing. I mean, you get 1,000 shares for capping. Imagine what those shares could be worth once the stock is worth $10, $20, $30, $40, $50. I mean, that $2,500 worth of shares that you're going to get right now could easily be worth $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 at some point in the future. And that's all just for capping. Basically, all you're doing is just doing your job as a real estate agent, closing deals, helping people buy and sell real estate, and you're getting rewarded with company dollars that, instead of going up to the big bosses upstairs, is going into your pocket through the form of stock options. Let's talk a little bit about elite status. So elite status is something you're going to hit after you pay in $6,075 in transaction fees after capping out. Now, this is a little bit higher amount because you are going to have to close roughly 27 transactions in order to hit this. It is a higher amount, but it also does come with a higher reward. In this case, you're going to get up to $24,000 worth of company stock, which again has a 3-year vesting period with 1/3 vesting each year. So this is really cool because if you're able to cap and you're able to hit this elite status, you're going to get massive amounts of company stock, especially right now where the stock is so cheap. You're going to be able to get a lot of shares, which are then hopefully going to increase in price and make you a very happy person when those shares are worth $20 a piece, right? So this is a really cool program. It's going to be really tough to hit. I think it's a total of roughly like 34, 35 transactions. And I think it's something that is possible. I'm going to be gunning for it. I closed roughly 32 transactions last year, so I'm going to be really, really close if I do just as much as I did last year, but we're going to see if we can hit it. Talking a little bit about how you can actually buy stock with your commission, you can actually withhold up to 5% of your commission before you cap to be able to purchase company stock. Now, this doesn't come at a discount, but it does come with the incentive that if you hold on to this, you're going to get an additional 25% in the amount of shares after holding it onto it for 1 year. Now, I know that's a little confusing, so let me give you an example. Let's say that you had a $10,000 commission. You're going to pay in 15% to Real, right? Because you're on an 85-15 split, which means you're going to have $8,500 left over. If you take out 5% of that, you're going to have $425 that you're going to be able to buy stock with at a rough price of $2.50 given today's prices. This means that you're going to get roughly 170 shares for that $425. If you hold on to those shares for 1 year and do not sell them, you're going to get an additional 25% as a reward for doing so. That means you're going to get an additional 42.5 shares for that 25% reward. So those 42.5 shares, let's just call it 42, are going to be worth a lot more in the future because hopefully a lot of these people can gain the stock but then not end up selling it off and the stock becomes more valuable. I cannot wait to see what this looks like over the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years for this company. This is going to be the game changer. If you actually run the numbers on this, you can see that it's absolutely amazing the type of growth that could happen here. Once you cap out, you can actually withhold up to 10% of your commission to again buy company stock at the market price, and then you're going to get a 50% reward in addition to that after you hold that stock for up to 1 year. So after you cap out, you can actually have the option to buy additional stock with 10% of your commission, again getting a 50% reward this time if you hold on to it for at least 1 year. This does have a cap on it of 15,000 shares because they don't want some mega producer to come in here and basically just buy out the whole company by using their commission to do all this, right? So they do have to put a limit on it. It's at $15,000 worth of purchase shares. Now let's talk a little bit about revenue share, and then I want to talk about some real game changers for Real Broker and what they have coming over the next little bit. Their revenue share is much more straightforward. I'm going to throw this diagram up here on the screen, and you can see that it's much simpler than what was over at EXP. Basically here, for your first tier, you're going to get 5% of their total agent cap. For the second tier, you're going to get 4%. For the third tier, you get 3%. For the fourth tier, you're going to get 2%. And for the fifth tier, you're going to get 1%. So again, if you add up all those numbers that you could potentially get, if you have a full downline directly underneath you, you could get up to the full $12,000 cap paid in by an agent that's 5 tiers below you. So this is how they calculate it out so that Real Broker knows they're still going to be able to make some money off of you when you close deals through the transaction fees that you're paying into the company. The other thing I've got to say that I love about Real is that they actually just charge you a $500 annual brokerage fee right up front rather than charging you all these little fees along the way. EXP has their $25 broker review fee and their $40 risk management fee, and they basically charge this each time until you've paid in a lot of money to the company, whereas Real just charges you all that up front. So it probably is a wash, for most agents, it's probably a wash anyway, but I just kind of like the feeling of like just paying it out once and then you're done for the year, right? Rather than paying in a little bit every single time you close a deal. The other thing that Real Broker doesn't do is they don't charge you that $85 a month cloud broker fee for the EXP world. This is going to save you another $1,000 per year by not having to pay for that. Now let's talk about some of the cool things that Real Broker has going for it right now. Obviously right now EXP is sitting at roughly 40,000 agents probably. Real Broker sitting at 1,700. Yes, we're not in as many states. Yes, we're not as big, but we are growing and we're growing very quickly. So now could be the chance to actually get in on the ground floor and be able to build out your downline very quickly as more agents come over to the company. I think there's going to be a large exodus. And I'm not going to say that Real Broker is for everybody, but there's going to be a larger exodus than we've even seen of agents leaving these big brokerages like Keller Williams, Century 21, Coldwell Banker, Remax, and coming over to these companies like EXP and Real because of the system they figured out that works phenomenally. Real also just closed a $20 million PIPE investment, which basically is going to give them additional cash on hand to continue to brand, to continue to market, and to continue to spread awareness about the company. This is going to give them cash to float, to have plenty of time to basically operate the business and not be worried about running out of cash. This is a huge push for them as a public company. And another thing, it just keeps getting better. They've stolen multiple top executives from Exp Realty. Most notably, you've got Aaron and Peter Noble, who came over from EXP. Peter was the chief operating officer for EXP, and Aaron was the regional development leader over at EXP for the Pacific Northwest. These are two people who are very high up in the company and decided to leave that company to come over to Real Broker. I don't know the exact reason why. I think they just saw an opportunity here. Maybe they had a falling out at EXP. Maybe everything was great and they just saw something over here that looked a little bit more enticing and they wanted to come over. Maybe they just got paid more. I don't know what the story is, but the fact that they were able to, that basically Real Broker was able to steal those people away from EXP is absolutely phenomenal. They've also been able to get Vicky Bartholomew, who was the president of Exp Realty, over to Real Broker onto the board of advisors, and they plan to put her into the board of directors over here at Real Broker. So again, just the fact that these high, profile people are coming over to Real Broker is a huge plus for this company. I don't know, guys, this is kind of the opportunity of a lifetime, and for me, this was the chance to get in on a wonderful company that's going to see massive growth over the next 5 years and be able to get in on the ground floor. I look back at my time at Exp Realty, and the shares that I had acquired in those 14 months at EXP would now be worth over $150,000 if I had not sold them out. I cashed out and maybe only got $10,000, $20,000. I don't remember the exact number, but that would be worth over $150,000 today because of the growth that EXP has seen in just the last year with their share price and their company. I think that Real Broker is going to be that next step. I could easily see this $2.50 share price going up to $20, $30, $40 a share within the next couple of years. And I think that's going to make a lot of people a lot of money when they get in on the ground floor. So if you want to think about joining Real Broker, I'd love to chat with you about it, and I'll give you an honest opinion. I'll just talk to you about the pros, the cons of being at a company like this and see if it's a right fit for you. I hope this video was helpful for you. I wanted to cover everything you need to know about EXP, everything you need to know about Real, what the differences are, how they're similar. I'm sure I missed a couple things, and I'm sure there's a couple things that need to be added in or taken out, or maybe the numbers change. So you'll have to forgive me for that, but I tried to do my best to give you an overall view. If you've got questions, drop them down in the comment section below. I'd love to answer your questions about either of these brokerages, having spent time at either one. So with all that being said, guys, consider sharing this video with a friend who's thinking about joining one of these two companies and get their thoughts on it as well. I'd love for you to reach out to me if you're thinking about joining Real Broker. I'd love to chat with you. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And with that said, I'll catch you in the next one.